Lately, wild boar sightings have been reported frequently in the nearby areas, making my family anxious. Our carefully cultivated crops are entering harvest season. If the boars come through, all our hard work could be wiped out in an instant. That's why my fellow locals and I quickly came together to organize a large-scale hunt to stop them in time. At the crack of dawn, we arrived at the foot of the mountain, rifles slung and our pack of hunting dogs in tow. Without wasting any time, everyone split up and got into position. Roughly 10 minutes in, a gunshot echoed. Clearly one of our men had taken a shot. A radio call confirmed it. A wild boar had just escaped. Using our phone's GPS, we tracked its direction. There it was. I raised my rifle, locked onto the boar. It kept charging toward me. Big mistake. One precise shot was all it took. The beast collapsed completely. Hearing the dogs barking furiously, we sprinted ahead to scan the area. From a fair distance, I adjusted my scope and squeezed the trigger. The boar dropped on the spot and lay there motionless. "15 quiet minutes passed. Then suddenly, the dogs barked wildly at the foot of the mountain. They must have picked up the scent. With the barking growing louder, my adrenaline surged. I locked onto the direction of the target. It was moving across from me. I adjusted my aim and fired. Boom! The shot hit. The boar went down and didn't get up again, falling where it stood. Fresh off our last success, we continued up the mountain slope. Suddenly, I spotted a familiar dark silhouette in the distance. The moment it saw us, the boar turned and bolted, but we weren't about to let it escape. A loud gunshot echoed, and the boar was immediately taken down. We had team members stationed at the base of the mountain too. They were closing in on a boar, trying to hide. Under intense pressure, the boar was forced out of hiding. The moment it appeared, my friend took a deep breath, raised his rifle, and locked on. The first shot wasn't enough to take it down, but he didn't hesitate, quickly pulling the trigger again. Finally, the boar dropped and lay still on the ground. We didn't have to wait long before spotting another target. Just 10 minutes later, a new boar showed itself. But we didn't shoot right away. Firing too soon could send it fleeing. Instead, we quietly crept in, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And there it was. My buddy squeezed the trigger. The bullet cut through the air, hitting the target dead center. It didn't even have time to react. Collapsed within seconds. My hunting dog suddenly started barking uncontrollably and darted forward. Thanks to him, one of our team members found another wild boar. After an intense chase with the dogs, the boar was completely drained, collapsed from exhaustion as the team closed in. From there, it was easy. A single decisive shot into the hunt with a clean and satisfying victory. Recently, a vicious herd of wild hogs showed up right in a residential area, causing chaos and threatening public safety. Unable to let the situation continue, a professional hunting team quickly stepped in, determined to eliminate these destructive invaders. Our entire hunting team arrived early at the mountaintop, with every member quickly moving into position to deploy our formation. While we were fully focused on observing the surroundings, we suddenly spotted a herd of wild hogs on the move. They were clever, constantly changing directions to shake off their pursuit. I quickly gave chase, and the moment I had a clear shot, I decisively pulled the trigger. A precise shot struck a vital spot, instantly dropping one wild hog. Not long after, I spotted another large one. Before it could veer off to escape, I opened fire, taking down the dark figure in an instant. For the next half hour, we continued tracking and the strong, hefty hogs running downhill came into the team's sights. Without hesitation, I closed in and fired. What a fantastic moment. A split-second shot landed me another confirmed target. With my trusted hunting rifle in hand, I expanded my search area. This time, I spotted a hog from quite a distance. Still, I decided to take a chance and lock in. My heart was pounding with excitement. Finally, I landed a precise shot. The hog lost its balance and collapsed shortly after. The hunt wasn't over yet. We had just noticed another hog. Amid the rustling of fallen leaves, I kept a close eye and fired several consecutive shots. The resounding gunfire made sure that the hog had no chance to escape. There were so many hogs here that we barely had a search. Every so often, a few would appear as if challenging us hunters. Even if it was just a lone target, we stayed committed to the pursuit. This time I took careful aim. The moment the target was dead center in my sights, I pulled the trigger without hesitation. As the afternoon arrived, the whole team mobilized again for another ambush. Our first target appeared, being chased by a pack of hounds. We tried to close in and fired several shots. After that, the team moved to the left side of the mountain. There we suddenly encountered two dark figures charging down. My teammate and I quickly opened fire, constantly adjusting our aim to match the hog's path. One of them veered out and got away, but the other couldn't escape the devastating force of it. Before we could even celebrate the previous success, another hog suddenly burst out from the dense canopy. I couldn't afford to miss this opportunity. I raised my rifle, locked in the target, and pulled the trigger. Perfect shot. On the way back, we unexpectedly came across a pair of wild hogs. They tried to flee quickly, but didn't realize that John and I were already blocking their escape. With his rich experience, John fired two clean, decisive shots, taking down one of the hogs within seconds. Our orchard is entering harvest season. Every tree is heavy with ripe, fragrant fruits. The entire village believed this would be a golden season, but things didn't go as expected. Wild boars kept flooding in, destroying fruit, trampling our crops. As the damage worsened, we had no choice but to plan a series of intense hunts to protect our harvest. With years of experience, we spotted traces of the boars. Our team quickly deployed and formed a tight ambush circle. The sound of pounding hooves rang out as the boars charged right into our trap. My teammates and I opened fire continuously, each bullet precisely placed, instantly bringing down the targets. But there was no time to celebrate. We had to stay focused as more boars came surging through in waves. These boars were large, fast, and incredibly agile. Yet even with their speed, they couldn't escape the deadly barrels of our guns. This orchard spans dozens of hectares, so we split into small groups to set up checkpoints. Still, hunting these boars wasn't easy. Even with careful aiming, there were times we missed and let some escape. Our dedicated hunting dogs did an outstanding job. The boars were forced out of hiding under the pressure. That's when we got the chance to take accurate, clean shots. The battle was becoming more intense and dramatic. But this was the real hunting atmosphere we craved. The ambush and surround tactic continued to prove incredibly effective. The loud barks of the hounds rang clearly. I raised my gun, ready. Bang! Another shot, another target instantly dropped. When the gunfire stopped, the orchard returned to its usual quiet. But don't be fooled, that didn't mean safety. We had to remain alert at all times. And even with utmost caution, sometimes the prey managed to slip away in a blink, leaving us with a pang of regret. By midday, our team decided to end the thrilling morning hunt, gathered our game, and headed back home. In the afternoon, we moved on to the nearby cornfields. The hounds were immediately released to sniff out and track the boars. Their loud barks drew me. Heart pounding, I tried to stay calm and pulled the trigger the moment I saw the boar in front of me. In a flash, it went down, becoming a fresh feast for the dogs. The hound's barking continued to echo from deep within the cornfield. I had to push my way through thick, sharp corn stalks to reach the source. My heart was racing, the tension building, as if the prey was just ahead. Then suddenly I caught a glimpse. Without hesitation, I raised my gun and fired. The boar staggered but didn't fall. I moved in and fired again. This time, it collapsed completely. Chasing these boars had worn us out, but nothing compares to the feeling of victory in our hands. A lopsided battle broke out, right in the peaceful countryside of Texas. Wild boar herds suddenly emerged, devastating crops, tearing up farmlands, and destroying irrigation systems. In response, we, the locals, had no choice but to take up arms in self-defense to protect our very own land. After a thorough scouting process, we identified the boar's hiding place, right in the forest next to Edric's family farm. As soon as we arrived, the team moved quickly into position, executing the plan we had laid out earlier. Edric and I split up to circle the area, carefully watching for any suspicious signs. Suddenly, the sound of hunting dogs echoed, a clear signal that our target had been exposed. Soon after, a wild boar appeared, just as we expected. I swiftly got into shooting stance, locked onto the target, and fired. Though it tried to flee after the shot rang out, just seconds later, the boar collapsed not far from the scene. Following our first success, we immediately relocated to a new ambush spot. From our vantage point in the hunting stand, neither Edric nor I could believe what we saw, a massive herd of wild boars surging forward like a black storm. Realizing this was a golden opportunity, we fired without hesitation. Though we let off a barrage of bullets, only a few boars were hit. We quickly learned not to underestimate them. These creatures were incredibly sharp and fast. The number of wild boars here was staggering. We didn't even need to spend much time searching. Every so often, one or two would suddenly charge straight at us. They showed no fear confronting us head-on. Only when the shots rang out did the herd begin to scatter. But it was too late. One of them was taken down within seconds. As part of the plan, I moved from deep in the woods to a trail running along the forest edge. While I was scanning the surroundings, a group of wild boars suddenly burst out from a patch of trees up ahead. Without wasting a second, I pulled the trigger. Even though the shot was a bit rushed, my aim held true. I successfully brought down a massive target in the blink of an eye. On the way back to the rendezvous point, Edric and I suddenly heard rustling nearby. We held our breath, patiently waiting for the source of the sound to reveal itself. And there it was. A wild boar, fast as lightning, appeared and then vanished into the trees before we could react. Even though we fired quickly, it was already gone. As evening fell, we made our way along a winding road flanked by gentle rolling hills. Then, by chance, from the roadside, we spotted a dark figure darting across an open patch of land, instantly catching everyone's attention. Without hesitation, I jumped out of the vehicle and raised my rifle. I pulled the trigger, even from a significant distance. The bullet found its mark with pinpoint precision. The boar was struck, flipped onto its back, and its escape dream was ended in an instant. As I headed deeper into the mountains, I suddenly heard the barking of hunting dogs in the distance, followed by unusual rustling. Not wanting to let my guard down, I quickly raised my rifle. The sounds grew louder. It was coming. The moment the wild boar poked its head out of the bushes, I squeezed the trigger. Realizing it hadn't gone down completely, I fired again, putting a final end to its attempt at resistance. Every November, the farmlands of Denizli-Sivral turkey bustle with activity as locals begin the corn harvest season. But this year, the joy of harvest turned into chaos when herds of wild boars began rampaging through the fields night after night. Watching months of hard work trampled and destroyed, it stirred something in me. Determined not to sit idly by, I joined forces with fellow hunters in the region, and together, we planned a relentless pursuit. We headed out at dawn, riding our familiar hunting vehicle toward the vast fields of Dennysley City. Barely 10 minutes after our arrival, a few wild boars emerged from the distance. I quickly took aim and fired, but the beasts kept charging forward as if unfazed by the gunfire. And this time, with the dogs driving the boars into our sights and the net tightening from all sides, the prey had no. This area is known as a wild boar haven, and true to its reputation, it didn't take long for us to spot our next target. We moved quickly, cutting off its path. From a favorable position, I calmly brought the target into my sights and pulled the trigger. At the same moment, my hunting partner also landed a perfect shot, dropping another boar. It was incredible. Within just seconds, we had taken down two animals in perfect sync. That double takedown fueled our momentum. The whole team was fired up, more determined than ever. Not long after, a black shadow suddenly darted across the field. We instinctively ducked into the tall brush, holding our breath and waiting for the perfect moment. And then, in a flash, before the boar could even sense the danger, multiple shots rang out. Just like that, it was over. The boar dropped instantly in the middle of a wide open field. Meanwhile, a tense chase unfolded in John's sector. But thanks to his seasoned experience and razor-sharp marksmanship, it didn't take long before the target ahead of him was neutralized cleanly and efficiently. Once again, our dogs proved their worth, flushing a massive boar out of hiding deep within the corn. It charged straight toward us, but I was ready. I raised my rifle, took aim, and dropped on the spot. The boars here are unlike any others, bold, aggressive, and completely unafraid. Some even tried to charge us head on. Thankfully, we remained calm under pressure and responded with swift precision in every encounter. While relocating to a new position, we were suddenly alerted by strange noises coming from across the field. Seconds later, another boar broke into a sprint, desperate to escape. But today, it was just out of luck crossing paths with sharpshooters like us. A few crisp shots echoed through the air, and the beast was down. Later, we received word about a group of boars hiding in a cornfield mid-harvest. We rushed over immediately. It was madness. They came pouring out in droves. Despite the chaos and the hail of bullets that followed, we only managed to bring down one of them. With numbers like that still out there, it's clear this hunt is far from over. We'll be back tomorrow. Every time I return to Turkey to join wild boar hunting trips, I feel an indescribable excitement. The hunters here always earn my respect with their professionalism, vast experience, and high level of discipline. They operate like a tightly organized machine, carefully planned, sensibly divided into teams, and coordinating smoothly in every step. Today, I'll be heading into the Anatolian Mountains with a group of hunters to begin this challenging journey. From our position, we scanned the distance and immediately spotted a wild boar fleeing in a panic. But we didn't give it a chance to escape. We quickly moved and intercepted it at a favorable spot. There it is. The wild boar charged forward, unaware of the danger lying ahead. With our preparation in place, I fired immediately. However, one bullet was enough to finish it. It took a second shot to take the target down completely. Barely having time to celebrate the last success, I suddenly spotted another wild boar. Afraid it might disappear behind the trees, I fired without hesitation. But the first shot only caused it to slip. The boar quickly got back up and sprinted off. Amid a haze of dust and smoke, the boar finally collapsed, marking the end of an intense and determined pursuit. Shouts and barking echoed across the mountain, a sure sign that a dramatic chase was unfolding. My teammates and I focused all our attention on the movements around us. As soon as the wild boar charged forward, I immediately opened fire. A quick decision and decisive action brought in another trophy. However, many more boars were still hiding out here, requiring our full concentration to handle the next targets. Tense moments passed by until the prey finally revealed itself. I aimed my gun straight at the boar and gently squeezed the trigger. Without much effort, the perfect shot took it down within seconds. Suddenly, a chaotic commotion erupted from the other side of the mountain. My teammates and the hunting dogs were in hot pursuit of a massive wild boar. Strong and cunning, it kept hiding and zigzagging to evade the chase. Unfortunately for it, its speed wasn't fast enough to escape the cold barrel of our guns. With the advantage of an elevated vantage point, we easily spotted the target down below. There it is. The wild boar frantically ran, but bullets rained down from above. Still, it skillfully dodged through the hail of fire in a spectacular escape. Not giving in, we immediately reorganized to block its path. This time, under a powerful shot, the boar had no chance. On the trail down the mountain, I suddenly heard something unusual. With years of experience, I quickly pinpointed the wild boar's direction and aimed my gun forward. I didn't have to wait long. The prey appeared. Without hesitation, I pulled the trigger. The bullet struck its weak spot, sending the boar toppling backward and lying motionless instantly. Thanks to its lush forests and temperate climate, Normandy has become an ideal sanctuary for various species of wildlife, wild boars included. In recent years, their population has surged rapidly, reaching into the thousands. And today, join us as we embark on a thrilling wild boar hunt in a government-sanctioned hunting zone. At dawn, we arrive in the forest. This is the coolest time of day, and also when wild boars are most active. After nearly half an hour of quiet tracking, the sudden barking of hunting dogs pierced the stillness, an unmistakable sign that the prey had revealed itself. We quickly determined the boar's direction, raised our rifles, and adjusted our aim. One managed to flee, but soon the entire herd emerged, a moment we couldn't afford to miss. I immediately pulled the trigger several times in quick succession. The powerful burst of gunfire brought down one wild boar within seconds. Continuing the mission, we spotted another group of wild boars darting in and out of view, as if sensing being pursued and desperately seeking an escape route. I quickly adjusted my scope, took a deep breath, and steadied my heartbeat. The shot rang out, shattering the silence. Despite their agility and speed, the boar couldn't withstand the fierce attack. Moments later, another boar suddenly charged out. I stayed calm and gently squeezed the trigger. One more shot, one more target there. Panicked by the sound of gunfire, the boars stampeded out of the forest like a tidal wave. What they didn't know was that we had already set up an ambush in that very direction.
Le dernier là-bas, tout seul.
As soon as the moment came, a barrage of gunfire rained down like a thunderstorm. Under this ferocious assault, one wild boar was fatally struck deep in the forest. While I lay quietly in ambush, an unexpected scene unfolded. At first, only one boar appeared, then two, then three, and finally a fourth rushed in right behind. My heart pounded, but I kept my aim steady and breathing under control. In just a few short seconds, I pulled the trigger one after another, each shot firm and decisive. All four boars were swiftly and cleanly taken down. It was almost unbelievable, but it truly happened. This will undoubtedly be a moment I'll remember for the rest of my life. While we paused to rest, a dark figure suddenly thundered down upon us. Reacting on instinct, I didn't have time to think. I raised my gun and fired several shots in quick succession. In that chaotic moment, the bullets found their mark, earning us yet another hard-won trophy. That successful shot gave us the motivation to press on. And we didn't have to wait long. Soon, a herd emerged unexpectedly from the dense forest canopy. Before they could scatter and flee, I raised my gun and took one down right there in the heart of the wild. In the eerie stillness of the ancient forest, even the slightest sound from the boars was clearly audible, especially when they moved in groups. Holding my breath, gun at the ready, I waited for the perfect moment. A burst of gunfire followed swiftly, but this time all the bullets missed. What did you think of the adventure? Leave a comment below. It had been a long time since I last visited my uncle, who lives deep in a remote forest region. Hearing his stories about the destructive wild boars wreaking havoc on crops and threatening local livelihoods, my hunting instincts were instantly awakened. Without hesitation, we started planning a meticulous wild boar hunt. At the crack of dawn, I joined my uncle's friends and we drove to our designated hunting area. We moved silently on foot, scanning the surroundings, and thanks to the dogs accompanying us, locating prey became much more efficient. When I spotted one hiding in a dense thicket, my heart pounded as I crept closer. Suddenly, sensing danger, the boar burst out in a panic. The shot hit Mark perfectly, taking the boar down in just a few seconds. The sound of the hunting dogs led us straight to another target, this one already surrounded. Thick bushes blocked my path, making it tough to get a clear shot. But with persistence and focus, I maneuvered into position. One well-placed shot was all it took. The boar dropped instantly. Half an hour passed. The sun faded behind dark clouds. Just then, our dogs barked furiously. Something was up. My uncle and I rushed over. And then, what a sight. Not just one, but an entire herd of wild boars charged out of the brush like a storm. My uncle fired immediately, but they were incredibly fast, vanishing into the distance before we could take another shot. After that setback, we made our way toward the slopes. Suddenly, faint rustling sounds brushed past our ears, an alert that made us all freeze. I slowed my pace, stepping cautiously, my rifle raised and ready. There it was. Without hesitation, the first shots rang out from a distance. In a split second, I squeezed the trigger, bringing down a wild boar just as it tried to flee. With tight coordination and relentless pursuit, our entire team pushed the wild boars into the open. No matter how fast they ran, they couldn't escape the precision and teamwork we'd honed. Gunfire erupted, each shot deliberate, each one clean. One by one, the boars fell, brought down by the calculated skill of seasoned hunters. Just when we thought the journey back to camp would be uneventful, out of nowhere, a wild boar charged at us. If you're planning to hunt wild boar, always maintain a safe distance and stay alert to every sign around you. Boars are incredibly fast and can launch sudden attacks, posing serious danger if you're caught off guard. Also, teamwork with hunting dogs is crucial, not only to track efficiently, but to minimize risks of losing the trail or encountering threats to yourself and your team.